You ready?
Yes. Oh, that's gonna hurt you now.
No.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to a meeting of the Stamford Selectboard. If you have a matter to discuss that is not included on the agenda, you may do so by addressing the chairperson and stating your name and address. You will notice that our meetings are recorded, and this is to aid with the summarization of the minutes. Visitors are welcome, and we allow 5 minutes of comments per visitor and 15 minutes per topic. Discussions will be held in a calm and civilized manner and respectful of others. Select board members present are
Mike Denal.
Nancy Bashika.
Doug Wright.
Will there be any adding of items or removing of items from tonight's agenda?
I have additional correspondence.
No, just old business. And
We have a job description. Is that for business?
will there be any adjustments to the agenda, such as changing the order of items? And Jeb is recording tonight's meeting for his YouTube video. Okay, first on the agenda is Bennington County Solid Waste Alliance. And Scott is here from the BCRC. Hi,
Yes,
Scott.
how are you?
Scott Grimm-Lyons.
Yes,
And he is here to talk about our
solid waste implementation plan,
that we have to approve every 10 years?
5 years.
5
It's
years.
a 5-year cycle. So every 5 years, the state updates their materials management plan, and then at the local level, we have to react to that and update our current plans so that everything meets current state requirements. So what the Bennington County Solid Waste Alliance is Stamford is one of 13 towns that are all part of an interlocal contract to share services related to solid waste, largely solid waste education, solid waste outreach, teaching, reaching out to local businesses, schools, community members. And then the second part of that is managing household hazardous waste, and then helping towns and transfer stations be compliant with those sort of state laws. So what this plan does is this outlines how we expect to spend the next 5 years in order to meet all the state requirements and to keep the budget as low as possible when it comes to creating managing the solid waste for the area and meeting state requirements related to these things. The plan itself is fairly formulaic. The state gives us a template, and a lot of it is us kind of just doing division and a little bit of math, figuring out how many businesses we need to visit a year, how many, et cetera. You know, how do we meet these requirements that the state has basically set out. And then, I'm just here kind of to introduce it, to let you guys know that, I'm here, and Solid Waste Alliance is accountable to the people of Stamford. And if you guys have any questions about the way we operate, and this is sort of our next 5 years planning of operation, and I'm happy to talk with everyone about this.
As Scott said, there's 13 towns. We formed an alliance probably 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, it was about 2004. 2014, excuse me.
The town of Stamford could not do this on our own because there's so many laws and rules, and just having the solid waste the household solid waste day cost the town could not afford it, at least $10,000, and we were going to have 2 a year, and now it was up to 3 a year. So
And
we can't do it alone. That's why all these small towns formed this alliance with the BCRC implementing all this.
right, and there are a number of small towns that also are part of this too. So small towns like Rupert and Dorset and Stamford are all, some of our smaller member towns. All of our budget is paid for based on proportional to population size. So you guys have you guys have a smaller portion of our budget. Yes, so you guys, yeah, you guys are about 5% because you guys are about 5% of the population. I think is. So, yeah. So are there questions from the select board? And I can answer questions from the public, I guess, since there was one.
Well, Nancy kind of asked my
Good.
question. When you said solid, I was wondering what the solid waste was. If you was talking about municipal sewer, or this is the trash?
Recycling, trash,
Okay.
paint
Yeah.
cans,
Hazardous.
household hazardous
Yeah, and
waste.
so everyone here has the ability, on Mondays, we operate a household hazardous waste collection facility at the town of Bennington transfer station. Folks are able to come. It's $5 per citizen to dispose of up to 15 gallons of, paint, bleach, chemicals, antifreeze, whatever you got in your garage or, underneath your sink that you're looking to get rid of. We make sure that stuff is collected properly. It doesn't go to the landfill. It doesn't end up in our water system. And what gets recycled, we can recycle. What needs to be incinerated, we incinerate.
I'm sorry, what was the date you said?
On Mondays, between
Every Monday?
between so we opened up a permanent facility. We used to have one day a year we'd have an event in Reedsboro. One day a year we'd have an event in Dorset, and one day a year we'd have an event in Bennington. But what we did recently is we got a grant from the state. We got a big locker trailer. We set up about a quarter-acre space at the Bennington transfer station. That's just for us. We manage that, and all the citizens are welcome to come and come on Mondays and drop off.
What time?
We're open between 9:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. And you can go to our website and
Yeah.
make an appointment.
That's what I was just gonna say, go on their website, BCR website, or,
And any other questions you have about trash disposal,
I
where to
think,
get rid of stuff,
Pam had a
managing
question.
our website is also part of our.
Pam had a question
Yes.
behind you.
So I just want to take this opportunity, now you're saying, hello, now you're doing this, you're doing the hazardous waste thing every Monday, you're saying, and I just want to advocate and put out there as a real estate agent, when people sell their homes, they have to be cleaned out, and, I go in and I find in people's homes where children are present, really, people have chemicals from the 40s, the 50s, really bad stuff that is in their home and is really dangerous. So I just want to advocate for people to take advantage of this thing. You keep doing it and people take advantage and really just get this stuff and get it disposed of. Get it out of your house and get it disposed of properly.
And you can carpool. $5, maybe you have only a couple paint cans, or, ask your neighbor, and whoever's going to Bennington, make an appointment, and
And she said about safety too, just to discuss, because we collected a couple of them. If you have an old house and you have something that looks like a light bulb full of liquid hanging above your boiler, you want to dispose of that carefully. That's carbon tetrachloride. That's basically mustard gas if that drops. So bring that to us. So it will put the fire out if your boiler catches on fire, but it will also knock anyone around it unconscious. Yeah, just a thing that was common in the sort of 30s and 40s. Yeah.
any other questions for Scott? So you have the plan with you tonight, or does Lori have it? Or how do we-
The plan is right here. Basically, I just need an action by the select board to say we approve the plan, and I can get a copy of the minutes that say that, or I can have the signature sheet that I shared earlier.
Okay,
Either one is fine.
can I have a motion to,
Motion. Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approve the plan for another 5 years.
Thank you very much.
Goes
Thank
by,
you.
goes by
Thank you.
pretty fast. Thank you, Scott.
All right. Good luck with the rest of the proceedings this evening.
Thank
You
you.
want to stay? All right. It's pretty entertaining.
All right, hearing of visitors then.
I'll go first.
CJ?
I have three items, if that's okay. First, I'd like to commend Dave on the back roads. I drive Klondike Road and County Road every day now, and this is the wettest spring I remember, and those roads have been beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Number two is for Mr. Wright. I'm curious about the call to the fire marshal. When you called, how did you introduce yourself?
At some point, I gave him my name, where I lived, where I came from. At some point, I did mention I was on the select board in town. The big question seems to be, did I ask them to come down? And I did not. In
That's not
fact-
my question, though.
Huh?
That's not my question.
I did mention that I was a select board member. I did not say that I was calling on behalf of the select board.
Did he ask you if you're calling on behalf of the select board?
No, he never did.
So the assumption would be then that you probably were. Did you
I don't
call the
know.
select
I
board
can't
or
speak for an assumption. I can't speak for an assumption.
not? Well, I'm wondering if I called him,
Mhm.
would he schedule a time to come down?
I don't
Or
know.
would he contact the select board?
I don't know. Again, that's speculation too.
It is speculation, but, and it's something we'll never know, I'm sure,
Mhm.
but in the light of transparency, I think with the new code of conduct rules, where someone might represent themselves as a board member, whether intentionally or not, and not clarify that, that can then be discussed in executive session, and the people of the town will never know what transpired, if the person was cleared,
Mhm.
if the person was, spoken to. So I think, I would like, if you can, I don't know if you can add to them, but at the minutes after that issue is resolved of the executive session, I think should be made public, so that there's transparency in town and everybody knows either the person was in the right or the person was in the wrong.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
I don't know. I don't know what Mr. Jakubowski told you.
I have not talked to him.
Okay, well, then everything you're getting is what you've heard. So let me point this out.
Everything I got was from you at the select board meetings. That's the
Right.
only information I
I
have.
did say that I called. Again, I did not say I was calling on behalf. I did tell him all I wanted was the information, was their permits. That's all. And if he said yeah, it would have entered there. If he said no, then I would have come back and mentioned it to the rest of the board. That's the sad part. This whole thing is just kind of morphed. I hoped it could be settled by calling, and I've asked, and I think that'll be verified on some of the videotapes. I did ask a couple questions regarding the place up there, regarding the church more specifically, and I was told, no, that's a state thing, we don't deal with it. So where's the logical place you go for information? To the state, and that was my intention.
I understand that.
And that's, okay, let me finish. If he decided to come down, I don't know if he told you or told anybody else, I did call him back and tell him, I made a second call, I left a message, hopefully he got it. And I said, all I wanted to know was, is there a permit? There was no need for him to come down. So to say I called him down is not accurate.
I
We
didn't
can,
see it, Paula.
we can speculate all day about what he thought. I'm responsible for what I say, but I'm not always responsible for how people take it.
You're also responsible for what you don't.
Well, we
So,
can go back and
this
forth
is-
on
Okay.
that.
Right, so, in the 2 meetings that I watched from
Mhm.
Jen,
Mhm.
I have not seen you apologize at all for the miscommunication. And I think you owe.
No, I
Ms.
don't
Shelburne
I don't
an
believe, I regret that it happened. I regret that it blew up to this.
Okay.
But I was acting, no, wait a minute. But I was acting in good faith. I was not trying, you can disagree, I was acting in good faith. I was trying to keep it at a minimum. We did have an instance where somebody came and spoke to you. Hopefully I would use better decorum than they did. But look what it turned into. You know the incident I'm talking about. So that's where I'm gonna leave it. And people can conclude what they want.
Pam?
But
You can see
it
they're
goes
still
back
talking.
to, a member of the board acting alone as opposed to a member of the board acting with the board. So when I was on the board, many times there were discussions between the five of us. We had an issue, it might have been about the windmills, it might have been about something. We always talked amongst ourselves and said, who's gonna make the phone call? And it was a joint decision to make a phone call in order to do something. As opposed to one board member deciding that they were going to take it upon themselves behind everyone's back and represent themselves as a select board member.
I don't believe
And
that
that's
was
where the
the
problem is.
intent.
Can I respond to that? Behind the back, if you remember, I sat here at the last meeting and I took full ownership of what I did.
That was
So
after.
don't
That was
apply.
That was
Don't
after.
apply.
That was after.
Okay.
Don't
Already
apply.
did it.
I didn't
Yeah.
have to say anything. I could have sat here, so I owned it.
Okay, let's finish that. Stephanie.
Well,
One
you
more.
got a different topic, right, the third
Yes.
one? All
Yeah.
right, well, can you hold on just for a second, because the discussion of the second topic, then we
Steph,
can go to the third topic? Sound good?
Steph, is this about,
Is it okay if I clarify
Yeah.
the situation, just on, because I was gonna say something anyway. I did meet with the fire marshal, very nice man. He did feel that he needed to come down. I'm just repeating face to face what I got from him. He did declare no permit necessary. He also made the comment about he didn't understand the change of use situation because there was not that either. And that he was, because he came down on town business, going to come to the town and file a report. He didn't send me a report, he was on his way down here to file a report. So, which brings me to a second piece that I wanna add in later, but it's also like all of these little things are kind of adding up. And I'm curious about the finances that are incurred by stuff that is like unnecessary, like, but that's another topic. So that part is clear, no permit was needed, everything's fine. According to the state, we're good.
Okay, and can I mention something to you in the conversation with him? And I'm very specific about this. I mean, this is what happened. I told him my concern, and I asked, is there any permits? And it was he who said, well, he says, it sounds like I probably ought to make a call and go down and check. And like I said, I did call back and leave a message to clarify. I did not ask for a inspection. I just wanted to know, was there a permit? Like I said, I was trying to keep this at the lowest level. Is there a permit or is there not?
I beg to differ
Well, that's
because,
fine.
well, I think we need to have a level of decorum, so I'm gonna ask for that. But I do beg to differ in that the lowest common denominator would have been to come and say, hey, Stephanie, do you guys have a permit? Do you need one? Do you know if you need one? And then I could have been like, wow, I don't know, let me call the guy. That would have been on me, and I would have done that. So that would have been actually the lowest common
Well,
denominator.
I viewed it different. I figured
You
this
know.
way here, it would have just involved me and him, and if he gave me the answer.
But don't you feel like that's backwards? That's sideways.
No, I don't.
That is
Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't feel like that.
And what do you mean,
Okay.
you and him? You're one member of a 5-member board. That's what this is all about. Is that you think that you can act alone
Well,
on your own.
Pam, can I finish?
Yeah.
Respond. Since you served 2 terms on the board, you probably know that in statute, among other things, it says that the select board is responsible for oversight. And that was part of what I was doing. Also, there's 3 things that you cannot do individually. You cannot legislate, you cannot be judicial, you cannot execute. And that's the only thing that we are held to by statute. If I'm wrong, fine, look it up, and I'm sure you will, and come back. But those are the only 3 things I'm held to. Could have been done better, yeah, it probably could have. I haven't enjoyed this any more than you have. But I was doing what I thought was right, and I did nothing wrong, I did nothing illegal. So, you go ahead. I'm not gonna say-
Again, it's about whether you're acting as a lone individual or whether you're acting as the select board. That's what this whole conversation is about, so.
Go ahead.
Does this mean that I can't ask Deb if somebody needs a permit? Which I did.
Well, you
And we-
did, but you said you were just on your own.
Yep.
You did tell me that. You were very specific
Yep.
after I came back to you.
Yep.
You said, no, this is just
Me.
me as a citizen. I know that I've heard Mike say it, hey, this is just me asking a question as a citizen, not part of this,
Right.
different questions. I 100% agree, and Doug, I know you're new, but I definitely don't think anybody should be saying, hey, I'm from Stamford Selectboard.
I did not say
Right,
that.
right. That's what he's saying,
So-
that he didn't say this, so.
No,
It's
he did say
He
he was a
did
member.
say he was.
After he asked, after,
After I called
Yeah.
and told him from Stanford,
It doesn't matter.
well, that's fine.
Right.
okay,
So
Steph,
we-
one more?
My whole point was, I think you accepting an apology, but you don't seem to want to do
I
that.
will tell her, I regret that it got to this level. It was not intended. But I will also say I was acting, I think, I believe within my bounds, and I was trying to do the right thing.
Can
So I regret any bad feelings that you had through
Can
this.
I say, at this point, I don't have any bad feelings, except that I feel very, very sad, and it is sad, that people cannot just transparently be straightforward. That people cannot just come up and say, hey, what are you guys doing? Hey, what's going on? We're all approachable, and I said this before, and it was on recording before, I'm gonna say it again. The one time that situation blew up had nothing to do with me. That was a weird situation, and I was the one attacked. I wasn't the attacker.
Mhm.
I had to stand there and take a barrage of bullying. That was insane and ridiculous, okay?
I'm not
So that's
arguing that.
not on me.
Mhm.
I feel like the very, very sad thing is that people are sitting here, you feel like it's in the best interest it's kind of like, let's go behind everybody's back. Don't anybody be straightforward. Don't go straight to the person and ask direct questions. And that is just weird to me. And I think it just is we should do better. We should do better.
So,
That's all.
Let's go, Chris.
we
number-
done?
You got a question?
We done with that? Everybody else?
Yeah, I wanna
Because
go-
I'm gonna talk about the same thing, but I just
Okay.
wanna wait, shoot till so the last meeting, I did mention that I personally, that's how I think we should go about it as a town, is to be more, friendly as a town. And when people are doing projects, and I can tell you, I've been on the board quite a long time now, and I'm learning. And when you don't know, or you aren't sure, ask. And if there's a person doing something, we hired someone to go check on things, right? So we call up a person. But yes, if I'm driving by, I've talked to you many times, and we can just ask questions. I think that's the simplest way. That's just my opinion. I'm not a big fan of calling the state. That being said, you can have your opinion. I have my opinion. One of the things that I read, the unbelievable amounts of emails and letters and personal emails that I got. And it's kind of getting to the point where I'm like, this is overwhelming. But one of the things I took out of the email, and I won't say who wrote it, we should learn from our mistakes. If there's not something in the process, or if we don't have a policy and we come across it, we learned our lesson with the signs. We never thought in a million years we'd go through all that with that damn sign. And we didn't know the answers. We finally found the answers, but it took us 2 years to find out. Same thing with this. If we don't know what our policies are, if we don't know what the board should be doing, you say legislative, judicial, executive. That's for interpretation. So when you execute something, I interpret it as you're doing something. You're going out and you're making a decision, you're doing something. Or when you're making a decision that you feel this is what's the right thing to do, it's a decision. That's the judicial part of it. You're saying, okay, I decided that this is against the law, right? Police officers do that a lot, and they go out there and they do it. I was a police officer, you were a police officer. He thinks he was, and oh, I'm sorry, forgive me. No, but I like to lighten it up a little bit because this is serious, but I mean, guys, we live in this town together. So what I'm saying is when we're not sure, we can bring it to this board. We can ask the question. The planning board's the same way, the commission, whatever that other one is, the zoning conservation, all them things. They come to their boards and they do it. Find out. And I think that as a board, we can talk about this later. We can say, okay, does this fall in our policies? Whether it's our select board policies or ethics policy, and see if it's there. If it's not, talk about it. See what we think. One thing I do commend you, Doug, is you do regret it. You said you regret it. I know it's a hard thing for anyone to say, I'm sorry. Ask my wife. I don't think she's ever said it. But when we make mistakes, and you did say it, you said it could have went better. That's good. You're right. It could have went better. All of this could have been avoided. It could have went better. And that, I think that's a great thing that you understand that and the rest of us understand that. Let's learn from that mistake and move on. The fire marshal, I did ask Laurie just now, did he report? There was no permit needed. Everything's fine. I'm sorry that you had to go through that because I wish that we could have said, okay, is there, for what you're doing, is there a permit needed? And we should know that. And if we don't know it, we should go find out the information and get back to you, not the other way. So, and it's such a issue. Everyone in this town should be treated the same way. Everyone. Not because you lived here one day or forever or really forever. So that's how I feel. And I think that when we sit down, when it comes to the executive session we're having, there's other things that will be addressed. I assure you, as a board member, that the things that I have been reading will be addressed in that executive session. And it may take weeks before we come up with an answer because there's a lot of individuals involved in this. But when it comes to this matter, I think it's done. I hope that it doesn't happen, the way it happened, I hope it changes. And I'm going to at least bring it up in our executive session and say, and there are some things we can't bring out into the public in executive session.
But there are some things you can.
And when we do make a decision, and I assure you, when we do make a decision, it does come out. We say, okay, this is what the action that was taken. Sometimes there's no action. And we say, okay, this is it in the best interest of the town.
Agreed.
There's some things that, people just call people names and everything. We're not going to say that,
No,
It's crazy.
A condensed version of
Sure.
minutes.
I agree. I like transparency. I do. I like it. To me, that's one thing I can tell you is I'll never go behind anyone's back, ever. I don't believe he was intending that at all. I just think that when a lot of people put their mind to something and they think they're doing the right thing, and then later they go, okay, all right, maybe I could have done better. That's fine. Hopefully this is behind us now. I hope it is, at least. Because there's bigger and worse things that we need to take care of tonight.
Mm-hmm.
They're about the same situation. We have to, as a board, I feel we're responsible for a hell of a lot in this town. And again, I'm learning. I don't know everything, that's for damn sure. But when I see something that's we don't know, let's figure it out because this is serious. This is bad stuff when we start talking and saying, who's in charge of this town? We need to, start buttoning it up. Okay, sorry.
About the same subject, or I'll let Chris go on?
No, I'm gonna change the subject.
Okay, well, CJ has one more.
One more.
Sorry.
That's okay. Just in light of how we're digging back in the history about permits and things like that, we have on our books in the state of Vermont, any car that's in somebody's yard needs to be registered. I counted 15 so far, cars unregistered in people's driveways, yards, as well as we still have a junkyard in a floodplain that has not been addressed. And that was going all the way back to Ron Block. That's it.
Deb, you want to respond?
I'm with you.
I didn't mean to come off harsh on that. That was just
Well,
like,
there are several things that need to be addressed, which I am addressing. That's one of them. Unfortunately, our bylaws no longer say unregistered. It just says inoperable.
State of Vermont says
this,
under.
but our bylaws just say inoperable. So, once again, do I
Call the state.
listen to our bylaws? And then why do we have our bylaws if the state was continually going to trump our bylaws? Because it was changed. It used to say registered.
I would look up the state,
The
the
state
state
does
law,
say-
because the state
does,
trumps
so-
the bylaw, always.
It does, so why do we have anything?
Bylaws
But
should
why-
only be stronger,
They're-
more
but
stringent,
they're
not
not.
less.
They're not. They're not.
Right.
So why do I even need, there are very few things we have in our bylaws that
Sure.
are stronger than, in fact, I can't think of anything in our bylaws that's stronger than the state.
So do we call the
So
state for all these junk cars that
No,
are around?
we need to just, I guess from now on, I should just throw away the bylaws and pay attention to the
Ma'am?
state. And then we're going to, so there, this gets back to our discussion a full year ago on how a zoning administrator should be compensated. Not just on permits issued, but as a zoning enforcement officer, as it should be. Because we have a campground on Main Road right now. That the two,
Technically it is, yeah.
yeah, technically, you can only have one camper. They have two, they have cars there, they have a pool, they have bonfires, you know, it's, in my opinion, it's a campground, so we need to get the health officer involved, I mean, so do you just focus on what you can see, or do we now start to drive around and cite people who have a camper sitting there that hasn't moved in 6 months? I mean, or a piece of junk out in front of their yard that they could technically call art, but you know it's not. There's so many things, so these are important discussions to have with the planning commission. Yeah, I agree with you, CJ, 100%.
Alright.
Yeah.
The junkyard bothers me. But
Yeah.
just because it's been 20 years. And if you look at from Google Earth, you can do the time.
Yes.
Things have not changed. But that was all I say. David, again, thank you for the wonderful job. Thanks, CJ. Appreciate it. Thank you all for your time.
Jim?
Yeah, I want to piggyback on what Deb was saying. First off, we don't have any ordinances, right? And so automobiles fall under ordinances, not zoning. A car has nothing to do with zoning, period. The junkyard, that's another story. Again, an ordinance. We don't have anybody to enforce ordinances here. So there's no sense to even write them if you don't have anybody to enforce them. You're not going to get a zoning administrator to go and tell us, I was told blatantly to go and tell the gentleman up here on Main Road to clean his front yard. And I headed that way, like an idiot. On my way, I started thinking, no, I'm not telling somebody to clean their yard. That's not my job, period. So if we need to get some ordinance together, then that's what we need to do. I'll be more than happy to help anybody with Deb or anybody else, a committee on doing just nothing but ordinances. But that's on you guys.
So how do we enforce it? You just said we can't enforce the ordinance.
You have to have an ordinance enforcement officer. Each one of you guys are. I was when I was a zoning administrator. She is.
We all can issue
I
the
think-
tickets.
Exactly. And so you have a citation. You guys can write citations.
That's what I.
You have to have you can appoint somebody to do it. So that's on that. But, I mean, that can come up along the line at some other point, but it's been coming up a lot lately. Ordinances. Again, I don't know if you guys can see what I'm talking about when it comes to zoning enforcement. If you look at the state laws and regulations, it doesn't say anything about moving cars. It's zoning, a campground. That's a different thing. Do we have ordinances or not an ordinance? Do we have bylaws for a campground?
Does it say it in our bylaws about
He
campgrounds?
talks about campgrounds, it doesn't get into.
No, it doesn't,
specifics
there's
at all.
nothing in our bylaws that has anything with any teeth that we can enforce. So, again, they were over at our meeting, planning commission meeting one day.
The BCRC.
Yeah, so they were over and the gentleman, informed us of the town plan coming up. And so that we're gonna, within 2 years, so we're gonna have to start thinking about that along the lines, but more importantly, and apply for that grant to do the town plan. And secondly, I also found out that they will also do another grant for us for the bylaws. So maybe we get that grant, get them up here and support our changing of the bylaws, do some ordinances. They wanna do this, so I think, let's do it. And that's that. So what I really wanted to say was that the sign thing, it's basically put the rest, put the sign up, do the thing. I sent I dropped off paperwork for Lori to sign a permit. We have to file a permit with the state. Okay, it's called an 1111 permit. It enables us to work in the zone. Yes, there is an easement there, verified. Dave was right. But we can put the sign there. It's been there for years. And pretty much every little town on Route 100, any highway or whatever else, the state has an easement on public property. So this is nothing abnormal. I talked to the main guy, project manager, he says, absolutely. Who's enforcing this? Anyways, we won't go there, but anyways, we have the paperwork to fill out and send in, and he said, put the sign in. Do it.
The old
I
sign?
told him we want the old sign up on the roof.
On the front
I just
face.
said that. I just said it. If we decide not to
Mine
do it.
and neon.
In
No,
neon,
it's not allowed.
neon lighting.
Stop.
Did you see Bill that's down here?
With pole dancers on each
I
side.
didn't see till the end of last.
Pretty
week.
heavy.
Here.
How did it get down here?
I picked it up and brought it down.
So yeah,
Friday worked out.
You got me on camera
I
up there?
told him what we wanted to do. We wanted to put the sign on the building, blah, blah,
Pretty
blah, on the peak, the long sign, and then we're gonna put a sign out front going 2 different directions so that people knows we're here. And then I figured we put a sign in the backyard for the deer.
And I want a parking spot that says select board.
That'd be another sign.
Bye.
Okay,
No problem.
well, we'll look over the paperwork from Lori and see what we have, and
So,
thank you.
Want to hear some real noise? 30 years ago, we had an administrator that enforced that registered vehicle rule.
Mm-hmm.
And Russ Clough raised an awful lot of noise all over the town.
Well, I mean, things were, like I have to say, 38 years ago, when I first moved here, some people in this room, a lot of people in here remember. I mean, things were, there was, a tight ship was running. There was a group of people that made sure that this town stayed nice. And that has not been the case.
So all those vehicles that are up on the back roads that are at least 50 to 100 years old, they didn't see those? Yeah, I disagree.
I
It's
know
just
one of
this
them.
main
I
road
didn't-
is what
I didn't
people.
bring it up to continue the.
No, but it's this main road people see things. And when it comes between a junk car and art, I can't tell the difference anymore. Go down North Adams, see what they call art. We had some bedpost or whatever the hell you call it down the road here. I mean, they say, art is art, and
head springs.
cars with flowers out of them,
Oh, that's funny, the Volkswagen.
yeah. So I personally think if your neighbor complains, I hope the neighbors talk to each other. It's to get into that there's so many cars in the town. Yeah,
What's next on the agenda?
thank you.
Oh, wait.
Wait. Yeah,
Yes, okay. Here goes another half an hour.
15 minutes.
Sit right there,
Well,
Johnson.
that's up to you guys.
I'm sitting in
I'll
curb
take
seat.
I had something all written down, but I'm just going to I would like, I know you can't do a motion tonight, but I feel that this ZBA meeting should not move forward. You can't jump protocol. I'd like to know how it happened, how there are two separate items on a request for a meeting for an appeal that no permit was ever issued or requested. So I really want to know, is this the best use of the town's money? I don't think so. Sending out all of these certified letters to abutters, jumping protocol. Why do we have me? Should have come through me. Somebody should have come to me. Nancy, you did. We talked. We had it taken care of.
We
I
didn't,
will be-
we didn't agree, but we didn't,
didn't
I
agree.
didn't agree, but we didn't argue.
Great.
No?
But that was, wait, I'm sorry, Deb, I gotta jump in here too, because the conversation you had with her was quite a ways before this.
Yeah.
And the state law says that the ZBA exists basically for hearing of denials by the AO,
Right.
all right, the zoning administrator. She did not deny anything.
I denied nothing, I was requested nothing. And then I heard, well, the reason is because there was precedent set. Okay, if that's the road we're going down, you guys are opening a huge can of worms with precedents. Because I started writing down all of the precedents that were set in the past that I don't follow because they're not in our bylaws.
I don't know if this is,
I don't know. I have to,
pertains to it, but didn't I ask this a while back with the sign? I hate people bringing that damn word sign up.
Yeah.
But didn't I ask how long can we go back? And didn't you say forever?
You can go back.
Because there's no number, wasn't it?
but-
It's ridiculous. That is a
But
can of worms.
there can't be an appeal to the ZBA if no permit was
It's
ever.
15
Right.
days.
how would they know? How would they know? I mean,
So just like the sign,
Right.
let's follow the procedure. And I will still give the same answer, and I'll say it here on tape, I don't care. But if you want the procedure followed, let's do it. But let's stop this meeting coming up, because it is.
Well, I don't think we can stop it, Deb, because this
You-
has gone
Who
to the
authorized it?
the ZBA, it's
No,
gone to.
no, you can't just take.
Exactly.
Somebody just can't come to the window and say, I wanna have a meeting with the
I agree.
ZBA.
I agree.
You can't do
I
that.
agree.
So you think it's up to us to stop the
No,
meeting?
it's up to her. In a
You
zoning,
cannot do it.
in any permit situation, she has to deny. Then the person says, I wanna appeal it to the
Exactly.
ZBA. How do you appeal
Follow.
something that wasn't?
Or get rid
permit.
of my position.
Can I also
That's all.
add
Sorry.
something to this? Because again, guess what? Guess who's involved? Oh, hello.
Yep.
First of all, why is someone able to file an appeal that, and to me, I was looking at, I know the cost of a certified letter, and I'm also gonna speak from the perspective of being in charge of an organization that answers to a board and also having to understand fiscal responsibility. 2 different sets of certified letters went out to all abutters for 2 properties. That's, in the one hand, a lot of money. If you're just trying to watch your nickels and dimes, which we should be, that's
Put it in the same
taxpayers-
envelope.
You know, that's taxpayers' money, so there's that one. But the second thing is, I know in my job, if I were to send out something like that, without verifying whether or not the information in it was accurate, so that the letters went out, the information in it is completely false, and it lists 2 other situations that make no sense. They went out to our abutters, my neighbors, that don't know me, now suddenly have these weird 2 certified letters. Unless they come to that meeting, they don't get to know the truth of the situation or what's actually accurate with the landscape, or, I mean, the information is just completely false. So we now have a meeting happening, which I'm fine to go to, but where is my chance to send out certified mail? Like, I wanna be able to do that, or where's my chance to let people hear that, wait a minute, the information in this letter is inaccurate. All where the land is, where the water is, all of it's inaccurate. So what is the meeting actually about?
And how can you have two separate items and only pay once?
And it's, and the appeal doesn't have anything to do with the second address because it's 2 years apart. So where is the actual following of any kind of?
Yeah.
Well, I
This
don't think
letter
it's up
is
to
invalid.
Lori.
Or the 15 days?
This application is invalid. It's not worth the paper it's written on.
Well, I don't think it's up to Lori to decide and say, well, I can't send this out.
So the only certified mail went to you and the complainant. All of the other butters just were sent regular mail, just to clarify that. And whoever attends the hearing and speaks or questions or whatever as part of the discussion will also get the results, so. Well, if it's determined that the complaint has no merit, then it should be put to rest.
It should be just a 5-minute meeting.
But the
And
complaint should have come through the proper channels. Shouldn't have gone directly to the ZBA, because the acronym, Zoning Board of Appeals, they are a Board of Appeals, not just a complaint
No,
board.
I have to ask, I did not read the complaint.
It's
Does the
blank. It says
complaint-
date,
Does the complaint say, what is if there was no permit issued or no one asked for a permit, what does the complaint, what is it
there
appealing?
is one, okay, there are two separate items on it. One is appealing our verbal communication that no permit was required for a change of use.
But no one asked you, so you didn't give a verbal.
Nancy asked me, and we had a
But the
conversation.
person that owns the land didn't ask you.
No.
Okay.
The second one is for a permit that I did. It was a notice of permits on Klondike, correct? For 2 small,
Yeah, I know,
Sheds.
yeah, I go by them every day.
okay. And they're appealing that, saying it's become a campground, or people are living in it, or
Airbnb.
Airbnb, but did anybody come to me and ask me to look into it? No, they're speculating. Did they trespass and go on the property and
Okay.
see something that shouldn't have been? I don't know.
The actual complaint discusses water rights. That's where it all comes down to. That the water rights may be damaged by these 2 accessory buildings that are, for the water.
They have no
rights
water
that-
hooked up to
The
them.
water rights that she's talking about are actually on a different property, going from her property to our pond that feeds the house. So there's no way that something on another property farther up the road could actually impact water rights that come from her land to ours. So it's
Those two
just
pieces,
false.
those 2 buildings are not hooked up to water anyways,
No,
correct?
there's nothing, they're
That's
empty.
that's not a building zoning administrator.
And they're under
That's a
300
land
square
court
feet.
issue,
Sure.
right? If it's ever
Sure.
an issue.
I
it's a
agree.
land court.
I agree. Let's go way back here, Nancy, let's go way back. The first issue, is there a reason for an appeal? I believe no. Okay, the first one, I think it's a hands down, no, boom, no. Here's my problem is when the zoning board chairman takes on that. So you're telling me I can write a letter to the zoning board and say, I don't like Pam, I'm right next to her, I'm gonna say, no, I think that she needs to get a permit for this, that she got 48 years ago or 38 years ago, I wasn't even living here. And then the board looks at it and says, oh geez, we're gonna look into this. Or should they go back to Deb and say, did you have anything to do with this case? If she says no, shouldn't she be the one that looks at it and says, I think that people can't just willy-nilly write things and then everyone just accept, because everything so far, including every testimony here, is hearsay. It's all hearsay. So when you hear, even though it might be truth, at this point, the board should not be listening to hearsay until they go to the person that we hired. The second one, I'm not sure of the whole situation. You did get involved with a permit. I guess you could go up and see if there's water hooked to it, but you'd have to ask permission. I'm sure she would say, go ahead, look at it. I agree with you. If there is a water problem, just like if someone was polluting my well above my house up there, I could go over to them and say, hey, you're polluting my well, do something about it. If not, taking it to court.
But the fact is that I had is the application. A person has 15 days to deny or to.
But the second one, there was a permit. The 15 days is going way, way
That wasn't
back.
even a permit, that was a notice.
Okay, but the first one, there was no request for permit or a permit. Why is it going, and I guess that's where we go. What is the procedure? And I read these emails. Again, let's learn from what we're not doing. What are the procedures? I don't know the procedure right now. It doesn't seem like it's common sense to me to have someone write a letter or get a form from Laurie, fill it out and send it to the zoning board and not go through our AO.
Right, well,
It shouldn't the
Regarding
AO, the chairman of the AO, or the zoning board question that?
Does she have the right to act individually and say, I'm not gonna allow it? Or is she part of a board where the board has to take a look at this and say, there's no merit in
Before they
this?
sent out these letters,
There's no
maybe they
basis
should have
for
had a meeting
this.
for that.
I guess my question is, can you at least make sure the information is accurate? Because it's not. So it's false information, and we're gonna be caught up in a situation where it's like me saying, my neighbor has a Bob's Big Boy and they're selling burgers up on County Road. It's not really there, but I'm gonna send in a letter, I'm gonna notify all the abutters. It's not actually there, but I want a meeting, so I'm gonna make something up.
But if they ask the complainant to come in and give her side, and then you can say none of that is happening, now you're having a hearing. Now you're talking to people, now it's a meeting, which has to be warned.
I agree with that, but was the meeting
Maybe
necessary in the first
Having a meeting before the meeting might have made sense.
might have
Right.
made sense,
That would've
and
made sense.
Except
It's-
if you don't, you could just say to the person, if it's, let's just forget about this exact circumstance. First of all, I'm questioning whether this hasn't ever happened before, and all of a sudden, this situation is being handled differently because it's Stephanie, just like all the other things that are being handled because it's Stephanie. But let's just step back. This is why you have to have protocols, because
Right.
if people are just gonna spew crap, then you could just be like, listen, take her to court, take your own money and take the person to court, but don't drag the town through
Right.
mud and all this BS.
Yes, I am 100% in agreement, and just as an aside, 2008, 2007, 2008, we had a similar situation. The chairman of the select board took me aside and said, I will never admit that I'm telling you this, but you gotta go to court, and you've gotta either sue the town or sue your neighbors, and that was how it was handled. So, is this how we want to handle it? And that came directly from a select board chairperson at the time.
I think we're skirting
So,
the whole issue.
no,
We want
because-
two people on that board, that's the whole issue here.
Yeah.
The whole reason of this entire meeting.
It's utilization of these, of going around proper procedure and also just a code of conduct amongst ourselves to harass someone.
When is this meeting?
June
18th?
25th.
June 25th?
Deb, regarding permit though, should there have been a permit, because we changed the permit form and checked the top and say no permit necessary, just like the sign when he didn't write it down and she said it's in her book, so we changed the permit form. Yes, file a permit, you don't have to pay anything, the town eats the $15 and just check no permit necessary. That would have,
It could have,
That was new.
it was new, right? Well, you mean as far as the Bosco Church?
yeah.
But there was no change. There was no change. No change in conditional use or anything. So asking Stephanie to put forward a permit would mean that almost everybody moving in, oh my gosh, I wanna put
Paint my
my
house.
I mean, So if it,
Can I ask another question? Cause I'm not following everything here. I didn't read everything. And I apologize, I don't have all the information. Is the complaint on both things from the same person?
yes,
Yeah.
So the complaint on Klondike Road, because of a water issue,
Which is not any of the
whether,
same property.
whether it is, when this complaint by the same people.
same people.
Okay, thank you.
Same complaint,
Thank you.
one payment.
Can I also clarify that the
Coach,
fire
bye.
marshal did say, he said, that's why he made a comment about, because he watched, I guess, the video and he's been reading the minutes, so they're paying attention. Because he wanted to make sure he was, and he said, from the perspective of change of use, from an educational perspective, we are engaging for health and well-being, we are engaging in the assembly of people. That is also what the church was doing. There is no change of use according to the state.
I thought we
No
already
change
went
of
through
use.
this.
We did. So
Yeah.
that, I mean, that's what I'm going with. And I read the bylaws and I want to be, as I said in my letter, I am a town member. I'm a citizen. I'm here. We're not going anywhere. I'm here. So we're trying to do the right thing and be active members and do vital things and do things that are community oriented and participate well. And it's just interesting that these,
Sorry, Beth.
I think that, the question asked, you were right, about a half an hour.
Can we
Question-
stop?
The question asked was, can we stop this meeting? I don't know the answer. It seems to me that the meeting has been warranted, posted, letters were sent out. I'm gonna do my best to be at this meeting because I have opinions and I would like to go to the meeting, see how it goes.
Do I need permission to speak to the attorney?
Well-
I have to defend myself on this one.
Mhm.
And I know that,
Why would you have to defend yourself? I mean, I don't think it's anything against the AO. That's
Yeah,
my
but it
opinion.
is.
I agree with that because there's a select two people that are on that ZBA that are trying to go after people in this community.
And I
Period.
want to say, based on the letters that I've put in, they will need to recuse themselves from any decisions
How
on
many
that.
are on that board?
Or
Five?
else-
Who authorized the meeting?
That's where
Well,
I don't
Lori
know.
got the paperwork, followed through with it.
Who authorized the ZBA meeting?
Jean Perpel's the chair, so the answer would be her.
Have her to cancel it.
But I have to say, so Board of Abatement, the state law gives you 7 reasons to allow an abatement. You can't just come in and say, I had a flat tire and my car was late, I didn't make my payment on time. You have to have a qualifying reason to be entitled to an abatement. When a request comes in, I can read it and see that it doesn't meet the qualifications, but I can't say you're not entitled to a hearing. If they want to come in,
but Jean can.
but
Jean
Jean
can.
but I can't. I just have to follow through but set it.
I think it should have,
You're
I
bypassing the AO.
appreciate, you totally bypassed me. It should have been, excuse me, complainant, but you first have to go and let's follow procedure so that we don't set some sort of precedent. And send her to me.
So the complaint on this one is, I think I can bring this up in public. The complaint on this one is they are disagreeing with that there should have been a permit or a change of use.
Correct.
Yes.
They are appealing
That
that
procedure.
we had a conversation.
And that time period you talk about started when?
Well, we talked about it time and time again. They're saying it was the May 1st meeting. So they filed
Today's
the paperwork on the
That's-
14th.
Okay.
But the whole conversation had happened prior to.
Are you just saying hi or you had your hand up forever? Yeah, I was gonna say you had,
Just being nice.
yeah.
So basically, it's 15 days to appeal the permit. So the permit, nobody can do anything after filing the permit for 15 days.
Right.
So once those 15 days are done, every complaint, everything else. Goes out the door.
do whatever
There
you
was
want.
no permit.
But there was no permit, there was no permit needed.
So actually, the appeal should actually be going to this board saying that AO didn't do her job,
Exactly.
right? Then we take her in executive session and say, what's the story? She tells us the story, we make a decision, and the case.
You guys know the story now.
Yeah, well, geez, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm thinking that,
I would
Let
like, I would actually think that this is a good idea. I think Bill, we can't, I don't think we can force someone because we did appoint these people just like we appoint everybody. But I think that Bill's right. We reach out to Gene and say, we feel, and I don't know if the board's agreeing with this, I'm just saying, we feel that this is an unnecessary meeting. Maybe you can cancel this meeting because it's not warranted for this. The time period has passed. There was no permit or a request for a permit. This has just gone on from who knows when. Where are we getting these dates from? And it just doesn't make sense to me. On the second one, there was a request for a permit. That's way past 15 days. I know that for a fact.
Like 400.
So I agree with you. The problem is not about permitting. It's about what's going on up there, and that is up to them to provide the burden of proof of what's going on.
should go back to you on that.
Absolutely.
Right. But you can't just walk in their land and check it. You gotta ask for permission.
So
Right.
the AO has a constitutional, they have the right, just like a police officer has the right to do their job. If she files for a permit, the permit actually is our permission to go on there.
Right, but that's already been gone by. Now you
There
have
was
someone
no
saying, well, there's
permit.
another thing going on.
There was no permit, thus
Right.
there can't be a denial.
But if you say that she's doing something up at these buildings, who cares?
Oh, for the, yeah, for them buildings, yeah.
300
Yeah.
square feet and it
Yes.
meets all the setbacks.
Yeah,
Right.
That's all.
That's
Right in
it.
your bylaws, like, right
That's
there.
it.
And then, I mean, do you guys know what I'm doing up at my camp? Absolutely not. There was rumors I was doing things up at my camp.
Oh, yeah, you
Go.
got some sort of gathering of people.
Exactly. So come on up,
No
right? So my camp was built as a camp. So if I'm doing something different than a camp, right? If I'm doing training up there for firearms, then you gotta question that and ask me to come see it. But until then, it's hearsay. It's ridiculous. And if it's years after I got my damn permit, and I've been up there for 20-something years, where's this coming from? So, like I said before, we're going down a rabbit hole that we can go down this road and go,
Never gonna-
hey, where's that permit? I disagree with it today because I got a bug up my butt because I don't like someone now.
You as a board have the ability to stop
You're the
this.
law. You
You,
guys are wrong.
you need to govern. You are all elected. I don't care who you've been listening to. You are all elected and you appoint these people.
And you know who is
You have
responsible?
the
The
responsibility.
same person who's been doing the harassment all
I'm going
along.
to dig into that more too.
I can tell you it was not written by the person. that
This is a
wrote it.
chance for the board to do something to kind of say, hey, wait a minute, no, we're not gonna put up with this harassment. This is harassment.
Okay.
It's obvious.
I think we can move on and I'll bring this, we can talk about this more, in executive session because I think that the public already knows what, as far as we can go right now.
Thank you, guys.
Personally, I would like to discuss it more.
Okay. Great, yeah, okay.
There was, absolutely.
Okay, so you're moving on, right?
Yep,
Nobody else wants to talk about some other subject?
something easy, man.
Rainbows,
Yeah,
you
The
know,
peaches are, the
Cardinals.
peaches are there.
birds,
The white peaches, they're right.
trout fishing,
the what?
The peaches. The peaches are coming back.
beaches,
Oh, good, okay.
Great thing.
roads. You look like you wanna
Regular
first,
reading and approval of records and orders, May 15th, I wasn't here.
motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I am. Road conditions, Dave.
They're gonna be here the week of the 16th to do the shimming. That's what I was told. The sweeper should be next week. We've been working on trying to get East Road ready for that project. We've done a bunch of ditching. There was a collar that needed to be changed, the frost, and misaligned it. So it wasn't paved. Not sure if flow, so we changed that out.
I got a dumb question for you. we had, when someone wants to plow the road in the wintertime, they get a permit to plow it, they show you a bond, and they're allowed to plow it. Is there any way that is there anything in place where we can maintain a road? And I'm talking about my road up the camp. If I wanted to, and you told me what size and all the stuff to put a culvert in,
If you wanna do it personally.
if I wanted to do it, and I had a bond, okay. All right, so I didn't know if there was something in place yet.
On your property or on the road?
No, on the
On the
road,
road.
on the road. You've been up there though?
I haven't
So
been up
I
there.
know you have it, and there's two culverts that if we don't fix them, it's gonna make the road worse. And I know you're busy,
Yeah.
and we have the machines, we have all of the, I didn't want to tell the guys, let's do it. We can even get a culvert, but you know, I mean, the culvert, that first one, it's all plastic, it's only what, 8-inch.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's gonna have to be an 18-inch, so it's.
Yeah. So you gotta bump it up.
Expensive.
Yeah.
Um,
All right, so if there was something in place for that, we could allow it if we had
yeah,
a
that's
general
up to the
contractor
board.
come in and do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's up to the board.
Okay,
I would think that you'd wanna have, you know,
an insurance,
that we
Yep.
would require for any contractors.
Is that a town road?
yeah,
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
class 4.
but it's unmaintained class 4. But, you know, I mean, if we don't fix that culvert, the water's gonna come down the road and then the road's gonna get worse, it's gonna be more of a job for all of us.
Right.
And he's got, how many culverts you say in town now? 200,
Oh,
300?
we got 300.
300, so, you know, I'm not asking for him to go up on a class 4 road to fix it. I'm just saying if we could do something,
I mean,
so, we'll
it's
see.
certainly definitely been on my radar, I would say for probably 5-6 years.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
reality, but-
Yeah. And it's not 18-inch, but that's
No,
what,
it's not, but
that's what you gotta do now.
unfortunately, code
Okay.
standard says 18 if it crosses the road.
All right. Well, we'll look into the bylaws and anything and see if we can pass an ordinance and do it or something.
I mean,
It seems to me it'd be similar to the
I don't-
plowing.
yeah, I don't think you need an ordinance, but I would say the board should, if you guys wanna do it, it's just gotta be done to code and standard, you have to be insured.
And
I mean,
like,
I
just
think
like
you
that
need an
road,
ordinance for
just
that.
like that plowing agreement.
If you-
Right,
Something like
You know,
that.
if I can get a $1 million insurance, that's what we ask for plowing.
Yeah,
Costs a couple $100. Come up, I might even have someone that's already got the insurance, that's what I'm saying.
right.
So we go up there, we dig it out, we put it in. They're, you know, it's like having, you know, Johnny Bull do something, you know?
Well,
He's
it'd
already
be
got the
like
insurance. He knows how to do it. You know?
Dave would inspect it before, after, accept it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's happened before. Sir Sosimo put all the culverts in on that road. When they logged that road years ago, there
Yep.
was a big fight with John because they did it without even asking. They went through and replaced, did a bunch of work.
I'm sure I could have done it without asking you, like you said, it's not on, you know,
Yeah.
5 years it's been. If I did it without asking, you might go up there and say, boy, this is a good job, but I don't want any problems.
Yeah, no, I
Especially-
understand.
Especially I'm a select board member, I don't wanna be up there and say, well, what's he doing?
Never tell somebody just go ahead and do it. You know,
Tom,
Yeah, but the camera's up there, Mike.
there is.
Law enforcement.
I can get rid of the evidence, though.
Dave, what about the culvert on East Road, that large culvert that?
Oh, yeah, we got a grant. Did you bring that up at the last meeting? Or are you gonna bring it
No,
up this meeting?
we can talk about it this
Yeah.
meeting. We received a $200,000 grant to replace that culvert, but it's what, $530,000 job?
Yeah, it's almost a $600,000 job, the way it was estimated. I've talked to the state, they seem to think the estimate was high, I kind of agree. But I can come up with an alternative project, as long as it meets their, what.
Whiskey Ranch
it was
Road,
okay.
we'll do it
You
for
know.
$200.
Why, now, did the state say that culvert had to be replaced?
So I had a hydraulic study done because it does need to be replaced.
Okay,
They do the hydraulic study and then they send what needs to be
the
there.
recommendations, yeah.
That's not, I don't get to make that decision.
Mhm.
They give you a project. But in the end, it says that other structures could be considered, but they have to approve it. So they want a concrete box. But I could do a pipe arch or possibly, you know, a large squash culvert or something else, as long as they approve of it and it meets their environmental standards. So it's possible that we could do it more economically, but now I have to spend more time to try to come up with my own project that they might reject.
When does this grant run out? 1 year, 2 year?
I don't know the answer to that.
See if they say it here. I don't know off the top of my head.
I'm sure we can come up with something that's a little more economical, it's just I have to have the time to invest into it.
And that's
Right
the
now-
one heading, when you go up the lane, you turn left. Oh, there's several streams coming down that mountain and I
It's
couldn't
the
get to.
first large crossing there, I think there's a 3.5 foot plastic pipe there, and they want 5 by 7 box or something like that. It's a big difference, but you know, we get the concrete head walls and main walls.
It's gonna be like Lincoln Road, probably.
Yeah, the Lincoln Road was more of a bridge, turned out to be more of a bridge, but yeah, I mean, it's all expensive, so. So, I
Well,
just got somebody to give us an estimate on their design.
So if you
that-
could
that
figure
was
out
fairly easy, so now I gotta come up with my own design that they could reject,
okay,
but I'll try.
okay.
Because I don't, at this point, we'd have to come up with another, 400,000 realistically, because it's not gonna be done this summer.
Right, because it goes up.
Yeah, so, can't do it. It's gonna
And,
have to be done at some point. I don't wanna throw the money away that
Right.
they're gonna give us, so.
Yeah.
At some point, I will have to figure it out.
how about the garage doors? Were you able to, we left some decision up to him. We left a decision up to
Oh,
Dave.
for the side door.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
get an estimate, but I haven't, talked to the contractor yet to tell him yes or no. Cause I kinda wanted to look into what the doors cost and just try to get an idea of if it was okay or not. The more I think about it, it probably is, but they want $3,500 to put that door in.
Side door.
Yeah, but it's a commercial door, metal, you know.
They just did
Tempered glass.
the ones on the church times are like $700 a piece.
So this is it's an expensive door, the door is probably $1,000 just for the door, and then, you know, they come gray, and it says he's gonna paint it white to match the building, so you start figuring all the hours in, and, you know, go and get the door.
So if it's gray, it's a,
Right, I understand, but the garage already looks like garbage, so we tried not to make it look worse. It should match.
it'll look fine with new doors and new overhead doors.
So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and have them do it, as long as I have the, I sent them a text about stopping to see Lori, making sure they have the right insurances. I could get 3 different people, but all this stuff takes time. I would like to say thank you to Bill Lincoln, let me borrow his jumping jack and culvert on East Road. So,
Who was that?
Bill Lincoln, Bill and Matt Lincoln.
I don't know.
It's a Capital West.
Who's on the
Yeah.
corner of
direction.
Gibson and LaFleur.
Okay.
So, because normally I borrow John Bull's and his was broke, so they offered to lend me theirs free of charge.
We appreciate that.
There are a lot.
There is a lot of good
See, it
people
can be
in
done.
town, and there's
You
good
can't
people
help
moving
it.
in town.
Okay, can we turn the fan on? Let me tell you, I'm gonna start getting naked pretty soon. The meeting will be over just like that.
Turn it off faster.
Motion to adjourn right there, see that?
And what else, Dave, do you have?
I mentioned the sweeper. You know, we're gonna be out, we were getting the mowing tractor ready, I ended up needing a tire. So I had to deal with that, been dealing with tire, I had tire issues with the grader, I've got a lot of tire issues. Taking up a lot of my time lately. We also ended up sending the Dodge Ram back
So it's back with
So
us
you
now?
have that, yeah. That's been between that and, all the rain, kind of put some of the grading off that we may have done earlier. Bear with us.
Oh, roads look good up there.
Yeah. No, I think everything's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
We did, Barrel Drive today, a little later. There isn't much traffic on
What else?
Still waiting to hear from the DCRC about our project on Sportsman's Road. So I try to push him to give me the yay or nay on it, so I get colors ordered. So it'll be gone. So
Yep. How about recycling? Or first, any other questions for Dave? Recycling.
Tires are starting to add up a little bit there.
Tires.
Yeah, I don't know if I should call the greens.
Yeah.
Just wanna use that.
I think he was cheaper than the other guy, wasn't he? I thought he said he was.
No, I wish there were. The last time we, got a dumpster, all went off all at once, so many, they're starting to.
You wanna call Pat and see?
I just didn't know if that was something we were able, wasn't there a question about that, using him? Did you have a question on that?
Just if he has permits, does he have to file permits in Vermont? But he's not a regular collector. It's not like Demolino and R.L. Lefebvre. But our people that bring the tires to the recycling area, they are paying for them as far as we can tell. They're not just dropping them there. I mean, because it costs a whole lot.
I mean, some did show up after the green day, so.
Yeah, what did it cost last time to get rid of them? A lot of money too.
I mean, I guess it was kinda high, but it wasn't $1,000 for that whole big dumpster. Tires.
It's gotta be cheaper to have him do it, because he's taking them down to, he's coming from Current Highway, otherwise they're gonna be going to Bennington.
With it,
Yeah, the last time I think they hauled them somewhere down in Mass anyway. Cam took them, or Trisella hauled them off down somewhere. Probably turned them into a running track or something. Round them up.
I don't know, it seems like we've got this place on Current Highway, I think that they would be the ones that would make the most sense to build this stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's give him a call. Let's
Yep.
ask him, cause it's a business, it's sort of a local business.
yes,
So I just
Helps him
wanna
out.
make
You know,
sure
go
we
with
haven't
it.
used them, and I thought there was
Yeah.
questions about if it's okay or not.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, I received an email from the state, the battery boxes that the state provides, and they have a contract with FedEx so that they can be boxed up and just sent out.
Yep.
They're no longer contracting with FedEx, so as of August 1st, any boxes won't be accepted. They're gonna contract with the postal service, so I let Carol know.
Oh, that'll go
Box
off
them all
well.
out, send them all out, 'cause
The post offices should take them without charge.
We'll get return the sender on them.
August 1st it changes, so.
Post office will be charging.
Well, I'm hoping that we'll have the same free label that we have with FedEx,
Yep.
but you're right, probably not. They
Just
don't
another
talk
thing
about
that the
money.
state says we
Set
gotta
it
do,
up.
but no money.
Pay for it.
Well, let us know what happens there, Lori.
Yeah.
Or the batteries, could they go to the household hazardous waste?
That's what I was just gonna ask.
Could
Every
they,
Monday.
could they go up
You
there?
mentioned batteries.
Take a,
I'm forever bringing
they did, right, they did at the household hazardous waste that I attended in Bennington, but they went to a separate table and he was boxing them up. He didn't go into
They're
the
worth money, that's why they're boxing them up. They
contractor that
recycle.
was
They're
hired.
worth money. It shouldn't be costing anything, they're worth money. You bring a battery up, if you bring a car battery up to Dover's, they give you money for it. Won't charge you for it. So I would assume all batteries are pretty much the same, even though they're small, they add up.
Mhm. Okay, we'll watch it and see what happens.
Different? Yeah, each one of those have a mineral they want though. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Tax anticipation note, Lori?
So I have 2 bids. This will give us money to get through until taxes start coming in and I have to pay it back in November. Adams Community Bank is bidding 4.85. Berkshire Bank is bidding 4.25,
How much are you asking for?
300,000.
Didn't Berkshire Bank just get bought out or something?
What's that, Jim?
Didn't Berkshire Bank just got bought out?
Yes.
Yeah, I met with the banks today to look into changing our accounts over to.
Berkshire Bank.
Okay, go with the cheapest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4.25, yep.
Yeah.
Motion to
Motion.
go with that?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Now, would you be willing to, give somebody the authority to sign that note so that the loan can be funded before June 30th? So that I can pay the school what the town owes.
I don't care.
You wanna do it?
Anybody, sure,
What do you want?
I'm into a fire truck and everything else, so.
Motion to give Nancy authority to sign that.
Is that okay?
And with me, I don't like,
You gotta be close to $1 million now.
Oh, way
Yeah,
over that,
probably.
yeah, way over that. Fire truck and a couple of Dave's, piece of equipment up there.
Oh, excavator too. Ooh.
Couple culverts add up to $1 million
Yeah.
nowadays.
Oh, let me know, Lori. 911 house numbers. It's come to my attention, Bill, that there's a couple houses that do not have their house numbers on them. It was a concern, and they did get the paperwork from Lori. They just didn't put up their numbers for whatever reason. So if it could go in the minutes, please follow the instructions. Put your house numbers up where they're supposed to be, especially in Alpenwall, because some people are still using their lot numbers. Or maybe they make up a number because they think, I'm the next house up
Are
the
you
road,
still
so I'll
involved
go
in that at
number
all?
2. I'll just,
I can mention it to the Alphamore board.
oh, you have, okay.
It's been-
No, I can.
Oh, yes, please, yes. They just make sure they're using they come to the town, go to Bill and get the number.
It's been 3 to 4 years since Joan and I went out
Right.
with the 911 list on every road in town. And then we sent out a notice, a letter, a form letter to every one of those people. What we've never tried to enforce is that there's state law that you can penalize people. I forget whether it's $50 or $100. Once they're warned for not having the number.
Well,
And to the
don't-
specifications.
Don't they realize it's for their own safety and they don't
We
care?
explained to them.
It's not just their safety. Fire truck gets called out and they go to the wrong place.
Yes.
And now, for some reason, there's another incident in town, and now that fire truck's out there, or they didn't go to the right house. I mean, it's just wrong.
Fire truck, ambulance.
So many people are involved.
Right, the EMT, well, not EMT, the first responders, I know in Alpenwall for a fact, they couldn't find the house. They're going up and go, oh.
Yeah.
And then they hear on the scanner, fire truck found the house. And they go, why didn't we see it? So
It's really
Just-
difficult because
yeah.
we went looking,
So we can,
So Bill, will you send letters again or go around
do
you and
we
Joan? Or
know-
do you want somebody to, do you want,
do we know
Bob,
some of
you
these people? that we can pass on to Bill to be the first ones he signs a letter to?
Did somebody
I think-
raise a complaint to begin with?
I think one I know.
You know, so if we know people, send them a letter.
We still have that letter somewhere on the
Yeah,
computer.
and then if, you
We
know,
can
someone
send
on
them
the
a
Apple
letter.
wall, we can, you know.
So should
at least
I
they can
call
read
If
it.
you
them
wanna
first as
consider
opposed to 911?
reforming the letter and invoke, we'll look up the detail and invoke the state penalty, and then you can write one of your tickets for it.
And if it's an alcohol fund, we can send out a letter from the alcohol board as well.
I mean, if you know that it's two people and it's your neighbor, just call them up and tell them to get their thing
Put
on,
their
because
number
this is what's gonna happen. You know, but if it's a
All
lot of people, it needs to be done.
We spent the money
Yes, you did.
to go out, and we did it twice. And, you know,
You still have signs that the fire department, you can buy them from the fire department?
sure,
Yeah, I mean, they're beautiful signs.
All right, let me handle that first.
$16 and
Yeah.
we do quick delivery.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else on 911? I just put that up for that. Everything calm, quiet, peaceful?
Well, we have an email from, the state, and they sent us a map. And they didn't agree with some of the numbers, and there's a bunch of camps that don't have a number. And they're talking to us about the fact that there's no number. They're way the hell miles out on a private road. I'm not going there.
Oh,
I think you guys should give me permission to ride my wheeler up to all these campers.
Gas money.
What am I gonna tell them? I don't have a name, I can't give it a number on a private driveway.
well, why are they saying that your numbers are wrong? You guys went out and measured years ago, just because they're looking at the
They
maps.
measured years ago.
That's right, they measured years, that's
And
true.
They
Oh.
did find one that I probably measured wrong, but on the other hand, the homeowner went ahead and took a number, didn't use the wrong number that I gave him. He took another number that belonged, he has 3 adjacent properties in Appenwald.
Oh dear.
The third one had a number assigned 2017, I think. And then he bought that lot and 2 more adjacent lots, and then built a house on the middle lot and took the number
From one of the
from
other
the
lots.
old one, and it's close enough. I mean, the state's saying to us, you know, it should be
24 and you said
524.
520.
We gave them 520.
And no one else has
Well,
Somebody's
signs.
got a lot
Yeah.
of time to
Yeah, for-
recheck these.
That's equal
Number.
to 20 feet difference.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna change it.
Good
And
enough.
he
No.
owns that 20 feet too.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna ask him to change his deed, his insurance, his
Checkbook.
insurance. And we wanted to discuss it first before Lori answered the guy and said, use your number.
So is this something Bob Briggs could do if you don't want to go up in the woods? I mean, oh,
Yeah, it does go with the job.
but
But just send them a letter, send the owner a letter, and just say, put it down on the bottom. See what happens. I mean, to drive up to some of these places, even Bob, I mean, you're talking, some of these places aren't easy to get to.
how did they find him? They just,
They've got an
Satellite.
aerial
Are you
map.
kidding me?
map
They
that
found me
sent
on the
us.
Connecticut River the other
And
day.
the aerial map shows a building. One of the buildings they showed is a foundation that got a permit 10, 15 years ago. And there's a 4-foot foundation wall, and that's all there is. I'm not giving a number, I have no idea who owns it anymore.
so,
We can look at it some more, but
because the rule was if you had electricity, you got a 911 number. Now with everybody with cell phones and camps and that's what's happening. Oh,
I'm
boy.
tempted, since
I
they
don't
have somebody
electricity, but I got
with a car equipped with all their magic GPS coordinates and accuracy. And the fellow was nice, he came down and did a few for me 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And he said, anytime. He lives in Bennington.
We'll have them come down.
Let this guy call his own person to go set a number.
Yes. Try
We'll
it that
call him
way.
back. That's what I thought you had all up.
No.
Meeting has to adjourn.
No.
Oh, I was thinking
Oh,
that.
I was thinking ice cream too.
You should have the ice cream
Me too.
people deliver.
Me
That's-
too, Pam.
Yeah, so see, like,
You wanna take a recess?
Recess.
You wanna take a recess?
25 minutes.
I make a motion, Pam goes down and gets all of us ice cream.
Okay. Next, Ethics Commission, Ethics Ordinance.
Are we ever gonna have a full board when we do this?
Well, I know we approved it, May 1st, and we didn't sign it May 15th because the state
State
just
pulled
pulled
it out
out.
from under us.
Yeah. So I'd like to make a motion, if I can do this, to rescind the motion made on May 1st to accept our ordinance.
Okay.
And just,
Leave out the state part of it.
Table it.
yeah, just wait until further clarification from the state. Because you said a lot of the towns were pushing back from what you heard on your UniNet. We don't know where it is.
The state has no ethics, is that what you're saying?
They left us.
What it was an unfunded mandate, basically. It was an unfunded mandate. They
Right.
said you're gonna do it, and then they
Yeah.
didn't give us
Yeah.
the stuff we needed
So
to.
they still exist.
They just don't have anybody working
But
there.
they have
Yeah.
nobody
Right.
working.
Yeah, I saw the website.
Um,
Come back later.
So
Okay, I'm
Kim,
gonna
Out
second
to
your
lunch.
motion.
okay,
Okay,
seconded the motion. All in favor?
Good.
Aye.
Aye.
okay, and I'm sorry,
Go
I'm just
ahead.
gonna make a suggestion. We take a look at, what we have and just adjust it so it's pertinent to the town.
Yep.
Just to
Sure.
one thing. And we can use the state's
Forms.
ideas as a
Yeah.
template like.
Okay.
But just do that. And another thing too, I don't know if this is in the same thing, we had another volunteer to be like
On
an
that group?
investigator on that group, and I would
Who is it?
encourage
Add
that.
it to the pool then.
Just
Do you
add
have
it
a
to the
name?
pool. Yeah, what's your name there?
Not
Gene
Jim
Kirkgall,
Simpson.
Gene
Oh.
Gene,
Kirkgall.
okay.
It's not so
Add
it's
her to the
Jim's.
pool.
Oh, Jim's already on there, isn't he?
Yeah, so if we can get together, you, Lori, and I, like last time, review it and see what we can do, and,
I don't think we gotta make that many big changes.
no.
Yeah.
And maybe the state will come up with some more money or
Oh,
something.
yeah,
I don't
right.
know. Joint meeting with the school directors. Cindy gave me 3 dates, June 10th, June 12th, and June 24th. June 12th is out because that could be the zoning bylaw hearing. June 10th or June 24th, Meet
What
with
was on the
school.
bylaw here?
if we go ahead with the zoning,
I got
Those
25th.
were the school.
sorry, June 12th is, yeah,
That's our, public hearing for the
Public he-
zoning board
bylaws.
bylaw.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
different one.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's June 12th.
sorry
I'm not
about
gonna be
that.
here anyways.
Okay. So,
I'm not gonna be here on June 12th, sorry. I have a big meeting.
okay, June 24th then, we'll go with that?
Sorry, I can't go to all.
June 24th?
Sure.
Okay. And we have to warn this?
What day is that?
Tuesday.
A Tuesday?
Are we warning or are they warning?
I think we're warning.
We better.
It's our regular meeting.
June 24th
Is it?
is our right?
How can you have a joint meeting on your regular meeting?
Oh,
We'll just add, I don't know, I think you guys just add it to the agenda.
Oh, you've never been to one of these, have you? I talk
I
a lot.
have been to one, yes.
And I do, I talk a
A lot of
lot.
talking, not a lot.
And I got a lot
so
to talk about.
you don't have to warn yours, and we'll just warn it that we're gonna meet there. We shouldn't be making any decisions in there, but we should just, in order to be transparent.
Maybe a work session on the select board's end and.
That's what I was
I don't
thinking
know.
too. and I don't-
Sure, I don't care how you do it.
If it's a work session, we don't have to warn it?
Can we do it first, not last? On their agenda? 'Cause I don't wanna listen to all their other stuff.
I guess we can do a meeting, it doesn't much matter, does it? I know, right?
Well, I mean, they have an executive session sometimes for 45 minutes or so. Have ice cream.
Tuesday, the 24th. What time is your meeting, Beth? 6?
I'm just picking on them. Different
Either
boards.
6 or 6:30, I think 6:30. Actually, let me look at the minutes from the last meeting.
You would let
Ice
Lori
cream's
know so
open
she
till
can, see if she can stay open till
I
9.
can go fast.
You guys have section, right?
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't have to, yeah, you don't have to stay. You can go get ice cream. You're not gonna miss anything. It'll be on camera.
Tuesday the 24th, Beth, you'll let Lori know, warn it as a meeting, then we're done, okay? All right. Review employee policy handbook, that is going to be pushed off again, unfortunately. We'll get to it though.
Yep.
Okay. Correspondence, Lori.
Right, I received our yearly letter from the Bennington Elks Club saying that they'll be having their Flag Day ceremony on Saturday, June 14th at 12:30. And they're inviting you and a guest to come and
Let's go for ice cream.
present you with the American flag.
What day? June 14th?
Saturday, June 14th.
Okay.
And if you'd like to
Almost stay
go,
open.
let me know. So that they can plan to have a flag ready for us. Or if not, let me know so that I can
You going?
send
Nope.
my.
You see Pam going, 18 rooms to go.
Yeah.
Did we have visitors?
Don't anybody show.
I get invited every year through the club.
Well,
So
Life
just to jump
member.
back to the school
Been a member
board
for
meeting,
41 years.
Cindy suggests we just add it to our agenda.
Okay.
So I guess we're on it.
So what,
I'm later.
What time is the
I'm
meeting?
trying to put 6 or 6:30, looking all over if I can find
let Lori know.
it. Yeah, I will.
Okay.
6:30. Yeah.
That it? Correspondent?
What else correspondence, Lori?
As I'm counting, our delinquent dog update, the first one for this year. We have 19 dogs we're aware of, 13 owners that have not, at this point, licensed their dogs.
Okay, turn it over to Luke.
Follow through.
To Luke. How about the ones, you said there's some that aren't on your list, but the vet sends you their certificate of rabies and you go, oh, these people have a dog that's not registered.
They think we don't know, so they'll be getting letters too.
Okay,
And that's in addition to.
okay. But their dog never leaves the house, so.
Just license the one that's in our books and walk away, and I think the new one is.
You had to save that, what, $15?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Unbelievable.
What else do you have, Lori?
That's all I have, just the job description.
Handbook, what is that? Were you able to get the road commissioner duty form? Okay. Because we signed it, we had adopted it April 3rd, signed it, but there was one
I missed.
item missing, so if we can re-adopt this and sign it.
What's this one?
It's the job description for the road commissioner. Dave, you will be working every Saturday and Sunday
I like this part
For
about
free.
bringing a 30 pack up to Whiskey Ranch Road.
For deer season.
through deer, including deer season. No, it's alert the select board to long and short range
Just one?
maintenance plans. Develop a listing of such needs and assist in prioritizing tasks or projects.
I'm still hiring.
Motion to sign?
Motion.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Huh?
I'm not ambitious enough.
Not anymore.
May I use your pen? I don't want
You
to
sure
sign
can.
it purple.
You can do my job. Sit there, 4 hours a day, 4 days a week.
Sure.
Unless something goes wrong. That's the part you gotta watch out for.
Mike, do you wanna sign?
I won't sign with red, I know you don't like that.
No, that's why I'm borrowing.
I keep thinking about, down almost about 7 years now.
Huh? 7?
Somewhere around 7 or so.
Don't bring it up, because I'll start talking about roads again.
Okay,
Better get paid now.
Review first quarter financials. Lori will put them in our box.
What about old business? You skipped right over old
Oh.
business.
What else, old business?
Well, I have something that could be old business. I
Okay,
guess.
go for it.
So the sheriff called me,
Ooh, okay,
said, how you guys doing?
yeah,
Yeah, I figured it's old. So he just said, he's still available to talk to if you guys want to talk to him about a contract or any needs that the sheriff's department must be looking, I don't know if it's this time of year or whatever, but if the board decides that they want to pursue that, I just told him I would let you know. And if you guys want to get back to him, then I can email him back at this time.
You gonna come down and talk to us here?
If you want him to, he could. He just asked me, he says, how you guys doing in town? If you want, I can give you a new a contract to look at. We didn't even have it on the town meeting last year, so unless, I mean, personally, I agree with Kurt. I think we just can't afford what we want. To what we can afford, to me, it's not worth it.
Well, I agree with him, just wondered if he has something new. It's always
No,
worth
he-
listening to.
Yeah, I can ask him if he wants to come down and just, if he has
Or if you
anything
don't want
new,
him to or if he doesn't wanna come down, just ask him.
if there's anything new that he
Anything
can
new
add to
that-
the, okay,
What can he give
Sure.
us?
Okay.
Sale price.
sure. Yeah, it might be, you never know. Might be looking for,
He may need to fill a slot or.
yeah,
So, sorry to jump around here, but Cindy just got back to me and asked me if, to ask you guys if 6:30 start time for the select board part works for you guys. We can do most of our meeting before that, so you guys start with us at 6:30.
6:30, yeah, that's good.
6:30, yeah.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned one time you wanted to ask the principal and the superintendent there, but do you want them at this meeting with the school board?
I don't care.
I think we're
It's
just,
all a public meeting, so they're gonna be
I think
there
we're just
anyways.
good with the school board.
Right, principal will be there anyways.
And,
Right?
yeah,
Principal goes to all your meetings, right?
okay. So
Hi.
Hey,
what else? Will we-
I just have to get going, but I wanted to take a minute to introduce myself. I moved here in January. My name is Jerry Guerrero. Nice to meet you all. First town meeting, a lot to catch up on.
Nice to meet you, Jerry.
Jerry, where do you live?
I live up on Sparrow Drive.
Sparrow?
Oh, nice.
Oh, really? Yeah, awesome. I am. What's the address?
Stay away from that. Stay away from
I gotta try everything once.
You don't have to dance.
Alright, pleasure to meet you all.
that. Take care.
Thank you, Jerry. I guess that's it. Oh, sure. Any other new business?
Nope.
Nope, okay. Make a motion to go into executive session for personnel matter and
We have
pending
anything
or
with that?
probable civil litigation.
Nothing with that. no.
Nothing with the other one
No,
unless you do.
just the personal.
Just the
one.
personnel.
Yep.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Okay, thank you all.
Get out. Go have some ice cream.